Everyone, I'm just going to get started here in just a second. All right. It's a snow day, but not quite snowing in the Needham area yet, so I think tomorrow is probably going to be the big snow day for everybody. Hello, and welcome to the weekly Wednesday Lunchtime live stream here on twitch.tv/DDO stream, youtube.com/Dungeons and Dragons/live, and facebook.com/DDO Unlimited. I am DDO's Community Manager Cordovan, and I'm going to be having a good time here today running a well-known quest for Mimics Irestone Inlet on Orion. Probably one of the best places to farm for mimics in the game. And now I will say this. I am aware that there are some other tactics that people are using on the mimic hunt related to character level in mimics that I am not going to be engaging on because this is an official live stream here today. So we are all going to be running Irestone at level to get ourselves a bunch of mimics. Not saying it's an exploit. It's probably just something we might need to correct in the future. But nonetheless, kind of didn't want to do the level 30 thing, you know? So anyway, how's it going, everybody? Appreciate you being here today. We are going to be running Irestone Inlet on normal. So the Mimic Hunt goes through... Actually, is that tomorrow? I am so unprepared. Yeah, it should be till tomorrow, I believe. I will double check that in just a second here. But anyway, this is your chance to get mimics. We will be bringing it back in the future. Hello, Druid's Fire, Wanatux, Siriana, and other folks. Yeah, Mimic Hunt through today, turning off tomorrow. After which, we're going to have double daily dice and a 5% VIP XP boost. So that is our next bonus, double daily dice and a 5% VIP XP boost. So I hope you've been enjoying the Mimic Hunt. There's some pretty good stuff to pick up in here, and so I'm kind of hoping to get something or other, or at least make progress towards something or other here on Orion. So I'm on a level 5 Sorcerer on Orion, part of the old DDO Cast Build Guild. Yes, mops. Assuming the hotfix yesterday was to stop guild chests on airships from turning into mimics. Yes, although we all found it highly amusing. It was kind of a problem. So, yeah, that's exactly right. That's why we did the hotfix yesterday. We also did do a minor performance fix. One of our engineers was able to identify an issue that had been added in January that was having an undue negative impact on game performance, so we were able to take care of that. And then we also fixed an exploit that I can't really get into here. All right. The other thing I guess I would mention news-wise here is if you're interested in the Artificer Renegade Master Maker, you should keep an eye out on the forums. Steelstar put an update to the Renegade Master Maker on the forums this week, and that really has kind of, version 3, I guess, internally, version 2 in terms of Lamania for the Renegade Master Maker. Hey, quick note for folks, I sprung for a bunch of mimic bait. So why don't we go through and let me open the chest so that we can get guaranteed mimics. Yes, mimic bait's pretty cheap in the DDO store, and that guarantees that you will get a mimic. So I decided to spend some of my corporate DDO points to get mimics. So mimic bait, chug it, hit the chest, get the mimic tokens. People have, I know it's come up, you know, can you get mimic tokens even if you have ransacked the chest? And the answer to that is correct. I don't know quite how everyone does it in other servers, but I usually just kind of go counterclockwise here and just kind of go up, around, go all the way around, and just kind of do a curly Q till we end up on the sort of little path that's elevated. That one minor encounter. So just kind of follow along if you would. And I usually don't do the yar thing. I don't blow up the ship because... Oh, I forgot to take a mimic bait. Sorry. Yeah, Marketplace Devil Assault's another good one for that, for sure. But I like Irestone, because Irestone on normal's pretty easy, and you get a lot of chests. And lots of chests means lots of mimics, and lots of mimics means lots of goodies. IMO. I should actually see if I have any healing potions. I do not. Okay. Yeah, Von 3's not bad either. But still, can you beat the chest density of Irestone? I don't know. We're actually getting kind of skunked this time around, but... So anyway, take a look at Renegade Mastermaker if you are interested in that tree. We've come a pretty long way on it, and we have some... We really upped its power level, not insignificantly, in this latest version of Renegade Mastermaker, so that's pretty cool. Real mimics don't count. Yeah, I know what you mean. It's really just a technical issue, the way that they're coded. Because, you know, the mimic hunt obviously procs on chests, not mimics. I mean, technically, from behind the scenes, it looks like mimics. But it's actually like, are you a chest, then there's a chance to be a mimic. And we don't have mimics set as chests. It's a sad technical issue, but nonetheless... 'tis an issue. There is still that check that goes up or down determining if your chest turns or not, right, Jerry? Yes. So if you hit a chest and it is not a mimic, then it goes up behind the scenes. So the next chest has a greater chance of being a mimic, and then if that one isn't a mimic, then the next chest has a greater chance of being a mimic, so on and so forth, until you will get a mimic eventually. However, using mimic bait guarantees that you will get a mimic, so if you don't mind spending a few DDO points, like myself, then you can pretty much guarantee that you're going to... Man, we are getting skunked on chests this run. And inversely, when you do get a mimic, then the next chance goes down a little bit until... But it balances out, because then if you know, that chance goes down and you don't get a mimic, then it goes back up because you didn't get a mimic, etc., etc. So the general idea is really to find a happy medium, so you see a regular number of mimics during a mimic hunt event. Man, we're really getting skunked on chests this run. So anyway, this is how I usually do it, is just kind of end up then here. Alright, recall out.
You have saved 8 crewmates from the Banshee.
Yeah, leap of faith for Exalted Angel, level 4, sprout wings, dart forward. I agree, leap of faith is sweet. Alright, make sure to let me reset the quest. Alright, and we're back in. Does using the Mimic bait affect your chances for a normal Mimic chest? I don't know quite what you mean by that, but Mimic chests normally in the game are essentially named mobs, so they're just set to be that. Are there plans to do improvements for the Bard class too? Well, if you think about us doing all the kind of class balance work that really has taken, what, about 2.5 years now, maybe even longer, Bard was the first up, or one of the first up, because that's what got a Swashbuckler in that. Frankly, I think for the most part, we see Bard is in a pretty good place. I mean, certainly Swashbuckler remains highly competitive. I mean, I would never say never on any class balance work, but it's certainly not a priority anytime soon. In terms of what we're going to be doing next, we have a Favored Soul third tree to do, so we're going to be doing a little bit of Favored Soul work. And then we have Wizard and Sorcerer to take a look at, and that'll, frankly, probably carry us through most of the year to get all that work done. Additionally, we've got additional kind of Druid and Artificer Iron Defender work. We need to do some pet work as well. And I don't know exactly what the time frame to get that done is, but that's, you know, on the agenda as well. I mean, I guess I hear you on crowd control for Bard, but I don't know. There's an awful lot of crowd control being successfully used in Reaper difficulty. I haven't really gone through to figure out what the class makeup of that work is, but I'm going to assume that Bards do quite well for crowd control. At least mine seems to be doing quite well on Sir Lona. Ah, nice. Sapphire protection, too. So Mimic Bait simply guarantees that the next chest you open will be a Mimic. Just flat out. That's what the Mimic Bait does. So it has no kind of percentage chance tied to it at all. It's just, have you taken a Mimic Bait? If the answer is yes, then you get a Mimic. Did I see the forum post about the Sentient Jewel UI bug? I uploaded a video on how to reproduce the bug. I passed that along to QA. I have not had time to follow up with them to see what they did with that information. But yes, I saw it and did pass along that thread to our bug investigators. Can we get a shout out for those 7 daggers over here on Caneth? Sure thing. Shout out to 7 daggers on Caneth. Why is there a Vistani knife fighter animation for cleave but not for great cleave? It seems like an oversight. Yes, correct. It is simply an oversight there. Yeah, I know, right? Protection +2. That's not a terrible low-level augment at all. Pretty cool. I really wish we had a faster casting animation on the candy cane. The upstanding folks from Ravensguard on G-Land say hello. Hello, upstanding folks. Yes, you are. Oh no! I think this might be bad. I think I get pulled a little too much aggro here for my wimpy little Sork. Does Elite give you a better chance? Only in, well, I don't know. That's kind of a good question. In my experience on Irestone, the level of difficulty doesn't really seem to matter. There may be some quests out there that running on Elite have higher chances to get chests, but I don't think Irestone is one of them. So the answer is kind of a qualified maybe. Depends on the quest you're running. Alright, recall out and doing it again. Oh yeah, it's true we did not do Mimic Frenzy this particular time around. Mostly because of performance reasons. Any possibility of getting a filigree bag of holding? Filigrees are now filling your inventory slots. My understanding is they go into augment bags, so I believe that that is the intended method by which to store filigree. And I do think we'll probably see a return of the Mimic Frenzy. It's just not in this particular event. There was some patch today. No, there was a patch yesterday. The troll over, hey, troll over on YouTube saying, when will Lamania be coming back up? My understanding is we are targeting next week for a Lamania update. And that should, I believe, include some of the content work for update 38 here. I have been neglecting Facebook. Let me call up the Facebook video feed and see what I got for comments and or questions there. Is there any plan for a new version of DDO? No, not really. I certainly wouldn't announce it on the live stream were there one. Cosmetic storage, please. I talked about that, I think, really the last couple of weeks. But the reality is, it's going to take some engineering work to do cosmetic storage due to the way our cosmetic system works. It's a little bit hacky in terms of the item system, and so it's not easy to create a singleton bag, which is what the technical term for those kind of bags are, in order to know, are you a cosmetic? In case you too wish to go on a drinking binge of Mimic Bait, let me tell you, this cost me less than 1,000 DDO points. So if you got some VIP and you want to get the most out of this final 24 hours of the Mimic Hunt, you too can do this. Is there work on mobs like mimic scorpions to stop movement when CC'd? Some of that is just an unfortunate byproduct of the age of our game engine and what have you. We've done work on that over the years, but it just hasn't really. It still happens. I really like Scorching Ray. Underutilized spell for many. Love its long distance on that. One of the rarest drops in Irestone is Hobble's Crossbow. After 8 years of playing it, it's only dropped twice. I have to admit, I'm not sure I've ever seen it either. Yes, Timothy. Your half-orc has really a bald spot on the back of her head. It's probably related, I'm guessing, to what kind of helmet you might have. But yes, we are aware that there is still a little bit of clipping issues going on with the female half-orc. You had an issue with the Mimic in Crucible. One of the end just spawned as a Mimic, and it went into a rock, so they were not able to attack it, just Warlock able to burst it. That's a bummer. You know, Crucible is pretty old content, so it's running on kind of some old physics that's probably related to what you saw there, unfortunately. It's one of those things where you want the Mimic Hunt to work as often as it can, but if you really want to nitpick, I'm sure there are going to be some quests in the game that just don't work very well. Like that one I actually passed along to the team today, Eye of Titan. The kind of invisible clam chest can be a Mimic, and that can cause trouble then in terms of getting the essence of nightmares from it. Yeah, mimics do tend to jump back in that. So, if you've seen our YouTube page, you'll have known that I put together a brief video of a mimic dancing for just kind of social media fun over the weekend. It was not easy getting a mimic to dance, even though I was on an admin character. Like, getting it to dance wasn't the difficult part, but getting it to dance and stay still was. And because ideally I wanted to get a looping video of like 4 or 5 seconds of it just kind of looping, dancing infinitely, so I could GIF it up or something like that. But I couldn't get it to work, because every time I tried to do it, the mimic would hop back or dance around or break CC and then try to attack me and all that. It took me about 20 minutes or so of grabbing footage before I was just like, you know what? It's fine. This is really just kind of a minor social media post to begin with, so. Alright, I'm back in. I had to give up my effort at greatness to do something that was just okay. I am saving this VIP weekly because I happen to have read that we have double daily dice coming up tomorrow. Normally I use it up anyway. And then I'm like, darn it, why did I do that? This time I'm gonna save it.
Several patrols are winding through the inlet's valleys. Take caution as you advance.
Will mimics ever take a different shape, such as a barrel or urn? That's something we've discussed. We haven't done the work to do that, but theoretically we could in the future.
Well organized, as if the crew expects to stay for a while.
Why do ASMR swing great axes downward? It's very awkward looking. I think it has to do with their wing animation and not wanting to clip through their wings with the great axe, but I hear ya. Because if they did the swoopy thing, they'd be chopping off their own wings, maybe. Or it would look kind of weird. Yes, bonus this week is double daily dice and a 5% VIP XP weekend. You're hoping Night Revels will return with a new Night Revels armor. How about purple this time, green, etc.? Yeah, I think we are going to see something new for Night Revels this year. That sounds like maybe a thing. Purple or green are big colors. Greetings from Chile. Hey. Any plans to update the Seal Scroll Shard item line you did with the red fens? At this point, this Seal Scroll and Shard system is pretty deprecated. It's a very old system and really not one we're going to be doing much work on in the future here. I think if we were to see work on it, it would be to... well, I don't want to say remove it, but, you know, just kind of get it up to modern standards rather than expand it. Nice. Ooh, sorry, Rudewind. Where is Rudewind? Sorry, I didn't see you dead there. You heard that druids are finally getting bear dyes. Will that be on the next Lamania build? No. We are going... I mean, that is our intention to do them, but as stated on the forums, that is not coming with Update 38.
You hear a dire wolf snarling somewhere nearby.
Cool. Got mutiny this time. Alright.
Pathetically as her vicious life is ended.
All the outfits from Fashion Madness as cosmetic? I know, right? That would be... I'd love to see that as well. Plus, I think Mithri from Damsels of DDO would love that as well. I haven't noticed that the Judge Them All from Exotic Angel is particularly ear-piercing. I'll have to keep an ear out for that next time I cast it. Maybe I just have my sound effects channel set differently than you, but it didn't seem to be particularly loud when I was using it last. Or maybe I'm just deaf from going to too many heavy metal concerts. That could be too. Maha0201, I am not personally aware of what causes the targeting issues with spell wards. This person is saying sometimes they get sort of a this trap is blocked or the spell ward's blocked even though they're sitting right in front of it. I don't know what the cause for that is. I think that might be something that we'd have to target someone to take a look at to see what's up there. Yeah, that's usually what I'll do is I'll just kind of go dunk, just step back real quick or side step it, and then I'm fine. Ah, Metal Turtle. I bought Ravenloft recently. Have to say I love it. Very well done pack. Thank you. I can't take much credit for it, but yeah, absolutely. Ravenloft is... I agree. Ravenloft is awesome. I think folks are going to dig Update 38 as well. Now that D&D is getting so popular, are there plans to promote DDO at exhibitions or shows like PAX Comic-Con? Not really. Frankly, that kind of thing is just beyond our budget right now. We are doing things like informal PAX East meetups and such, but I think the idea of us being on the convention floor of PAX with a 12-year-old game or whatever is It's just unlikely to be in our budget at the foreseeable future. That said, I am also planning to do a pen and paper stream. That is something I want to do, bring to DDO stream as more pen and paper, because, you know, as people rightly have pointed out, pen and paper is hot on Twitch right now. And I like pen and paper, so I want to be in on that. So I'm actually working on a thing right now that we should, I think, have our first show the Sunday of PAX East. Will be our first time running a pen and paper stream. I'm not DMing it, someone else is, and we'll have more information about that in the near future. I am going to be the person streaming it, though. Just so the DM doesn't have to deal with all the streaming and such as well. Paths to boost be expensive, yo. Yeah, got that right. Same with even like Gen Con and stuff. That stuff is pretty easy to blow $500,000 on something like that without even thinking about it. From my personal channel or from the DDO channel, that remains to be seen. Initially, I was going to do it on my personal channel just because I wasn't confident in my ability to have a good enough production value, as I'm kind of learning to do a pen and paper stream for the first time. However, we did a test run through this past Monday. We created characters for it and did a example combat. And while that was going on, I had up XSplit just so I could kind of play around with how to get the stream looking and all that sort of thing. It went pretty easily. So I think I could probably feel comfortable enough that we could do that on DDO stream. You know, the production I'm sure will get better over time, but it seemed like it was good enough that I was afraid I was going to basically just screw up a lot and it was going to take at least a few sessions to feel comfortable live streaming a PNP session, but it really wasn't that difficult. Epic moment counters are still being reset on teleports inside of quests. Those teleports have to be fixed one by one. Correct? I had thought that we did some work on that in our most recent patch. If it's not in the most recent patch, then it should be in for update 38. That's true. I mean, this is not going to be Harmon's Quest or Titan's Grave. You know, they have an actual production budget for that kind of thing based on, you know, Patreon followers and what have you. The other thing is, we have a good group of participants for this pen and paper stream, but they're all people other than myself who don't really like to be on camera. So I don't really have the webcam thing that I can do. Any timeline for update 38? Yes. We have an internal timeline for update 38, but I'm hesitant to say it right now because it's not finalized. But I would expect it to be a matter of weeks rather than a longer time frame. Assuming next week's Lamania goes well, I think we're pretty close. The problem with the pen and paper on any stream service is people will show up and get offended if things get over PG-13. Yeah. I think that we'll have a family-friendly stream. So on our end, I don't think that's going to be a problem for this one. In general, though, like on Twitch streaming, I have found that so long as your level of content is not out of line with your audience expectations, you can often get away with quite a bit in terms of language and that. But it also depends as to what your show is positioned as. If you're positioned as sort of a mass market show, you know, hey everyone, families all go and watch it, and then you're swearing up a storm and stuff, then yeah, you know, you're gonna get in trouble. And just like anything, if you say racist, sexist stuff, you know, you're gonna get called out on it. So. Yeah, so I do want to set expectations on this pen and paper stream. This isn't going to be like some big animation thing. We're not trying to rival Critical Role or anything like that. This is a group of DDO players who want to do a pen and paper stream made up of people you've probably seen on other DDO-related shows. And we're going to be having fun doing some cool pen and paper-y stuff. I say seen when I actually mean heard. When can we view the PNP stream? Our first session is set for April 8th. I'll have like a formal event and announcement on that on social media and our Twitch page and things like that. But like I said, we're really just getting started on ramping this thing up. We had our first behind-the-scenes session on Monday where we made up characters. We're using Fantasy Grounds, and some of us, myself included, have not used Fantasy Grounds before. So it was really kind of a tutorial session where we banged on the keyboards and figured out how to get everything working and what have you. So now that that's out of the way, our first formal session is set for April 8th. And I believe it's 7 o'clock at night, something like that. Anyway, I'll have a formal announcement on that, you know, fairly soon here. No, we won't be seeing session 0. Like I said, that was really a behind-the-scenes run-through. Hey, can we get everyone together? Can we make characters? Can we figure out how to use Fantasy Grounds? And then on my end, I was also like, and can I get elements onto the XSplit? Make it look okay, what do I need to deal with, what kind of issues are cropping up and all that sort of thing. So that was really just kind of more of a test run than it was a formal session. I am not surprised, Fire the Dragon Leader, to find out that you may have somewhat pirate-themed language in your personal life. How long do I think DDO has in its whole engine? The DDO engine is set to expire in the year 2372. I have actually used Roll20 as well. This is my first time using Fantasy Grounds, but it's what our Dungeon Master uses, and so that's why we're using that for this particular show. Also, Fantasy Grounds had just a couple of specific advantages that made sense for us using it for this stream. But I have to say, I was actually pretty impressed by it. I wasn't sure how it would compare to Roll20, but I found it to be really intuitive in a way that occasionally Roll20 is a little more obscure. And I think that really just has to go with paid employee support. You know, Roll20 is open source, whereas Fantasy Grounds is something with a regular budget and all that. So they're able to invest in UI and employees in a way that Roll20 can't. Messy Dwarf, having no advertising budget has been your biggest mistake. It is not accurate to say that we have no advertising budget. Throughout the years, including currently, we do have a spend that we do on advertising. And it does bring in new players. It may not be the kind of, say, large-scale stuff that you'll see on a game just launching or what have you. But it is not accurate to say we don't spend any money on advertising. Any plans to do prepaid cards? Probably not. The industry has kind of moved away from that a little bit. I mean, you'll still see it for, you know, some of the games out there. But that kind of prepaid card thing was really dependent on participation by third-party vendors to do all the printing and maintenance and distribution and that sort of thing. And as you may know, there are less of those kind of companies out there for various reasons than there used to be. It's almost like it wasn't profitable. Why not just use webcams in a private Discord? Call that people use actual dice instead of a number gen with the site as a visual. Yeah, so that actually did come up. You know, should we use like something like Roll20 or Fantasy Grounds, or should we just basically have webcams and show the tabletop and show people rolling dice? That's perfectly a valid way to do it. When most of the people on your pen and paper stream don't mind having their voice, but don't want to be seen, that sort of changes things up a little bit. But yeah, I've actually thought about that too. It would involve more camera production work because you want to be able to, you know, see the results of the die rolls and what have you in a way that can pose a little bit of a challenge when trying to use things like webcams and what have you, but it's certainly doable. That at some point though you move into a realm of it would be more doable if you had a production team, like if you had a couple people behind the scenes who were specifically camera people or, you know, video producers behind the boards doing switch work and all that. So you've done in real... Yeah, I know, Samus, I have seen you do that. Both dice and in real life dice rolling. There are times when the programs have bugs and need updates, but your dice are allowed. Uh-huh. I think part of it is that if you've got, let's say, one or two camera people and everybody is in the same physical location, that kind of setup where you're doing like real live maps and real live dice rolling and all that really, really works. You see that with like, you know, Acquisitions Incorporated, things like that. I think when you move into the realm of trying to do it virtually using, you know, Discord, Skype, and what have you, there's just some general conveniences of having a shared screen to work off of that like Roll20 and Fantasy Grounds offers. That is kind of nice. There is a dice rolling mechanism in DDO. Yeah. I had actually looked into HTML dice rollers that had good visualization, with the thought that I could use that in XSplit for the Twitch stream. And it's actually surprisingly difficult to find a really high quality virtual dice roller that has the kind of, like, say, sound and look of the dice rolling that also is easily compatible with streaming software like OBS and XSplit. There's a whole bunch that were just like static web pages that could do that kind of thing, but you wouldn't want a static web page. You'd want sort of like a transparent overlay. That's something that you could use on your live stream. And I actually was a little surprised to find out that there really wasn't much of that kind of thing out there. So if we have any virtual web developers or app developers out there, let me give you a free hint. There's a demand for it, and that demand is not being met, at least as far as I could tell. So... It's true. I almost died at one point when I bit off a bit more than I could chew. But we're running easy content here to get Mimic stuff. Make a pen and paper DDO game? There actually is a plan, and this is going to be a little bit longer plan. This isn't the thing that I'm doing next. One of the streamers has volunteered to make a pen and paper version of a DDO quest with the intention that we would run that on the stream. So I do think we're going to see that here eventually. Is it all people from the area, or is it going to be FaceTime? This one is going to be audio time, using Discord audio, with Fantasy Grounds as an overlay. And I'm actually going to be meeting with, well, not virtually meeting, but I'm going to chat over Discord and that with one of the people organizing it to see what I can maybe do to add some visual assets and that sort of thing to it as well. Because that person has visual assets they're uploading to Fantasy Grounds, and I might be able to use some of those same assets to improve the look of the stream. Yeah, I'm actually well aware. There's a whole bunch of people over the years who have made pen and paper sessions of DDO dungeons. That is not, something that's entirely uncommon, actually. A lot of DDO players are D&D players, and it makes sense to do. Typically, the biggest trade-off you have to do is lessen the amount of combat, because otherwise you would just have, pen and paper combat tends to take a lot longer than DDO combat. I mean, can you imagine beating down all these mobs in Irestone here and how long this would take in a pen and paper session? These, we're almost done with the show, so I'll just get like 5. Do I think D&D and DDO have grown apart enough to consider making a DDO first edition PNP game? I think that there would probably be some significant licensing issues with that kind of endeavor. I mean, we are based on the D&D license after all. I always seem to forget Featherfall. It's true, I'm actually not a big Featherfall user. Over the years, it used to be is just like, oh, you've got to have Featherfall. And then I realized that, well, you kind of don't. You really don't need Featherfall for very much in this game. You can kind of surf down walls, and the amount of times where I truly need Featherfall to be successful at a dungeon is fairly low. But that's just my personal taste. Your mileage may vary. Yes, Rob over on Facebook, that is the best of the bunch that I have found. I don't want to put the guy's URL out there just because I'm a little afraid I might flood a website, but you can look it up. It's called Teal Dice. It's a multiplayer dice roller. That is the best one I found as well. The main issue I ran into is that if I wanted to put that on to XSplit, you know, stream chat, it would basically be its own scene. I can't overlay it onto an existing screen. Like, I couldn't roll it on top of the page of Fantasy Grounds or Roll20. I would have to cut to that page where you'd roll the dice. And that's okay. But like I said, it still isn't exactly what I'm looking for, so... But yeah, Teal Dice was the one that I too found was really the best of the bunch because it does allow for multiplayer dice rolling in a way that most of the other ones did not. Oh, we got good timing on this one. Last Mimic Bait, last chest, and last chest of the stream. Awesome. Cool, and that is going to do it with the stream here. I'm going to head into the Hall of Heroes, just show off a few of the Mimic items before I call it. What? You jerk. Preventing me from recalling. It's true, sometimes for jumps and that I will use Featherfall. There are specific quests where Featherfall really is nice. But I've found I actually tend to be an opt-in on Featherfall rather than opt-out. I don't always die on the live stream. I mostly die on the live stream, but I don't always die on the live stream. That's true. Combat in PnP is only a small portion of PIP. That's why combat takes so long. It's more about tactics, conversations, morality choices, and all that. Yeah, I'm a big storyteller in my PnP sessions, personally. At least I try to be. I heard always die on the live stream. I know, right? So here's the thing. If I never died on the live stream, think how much more boring the live stream would be. I do this for you. It's not because I'm incompetent or undergeared and ill-prepared, bite off more than I can chew and aggro way too many mobs while talking instead of paying attention to what I should be paying attention to. It's because I want to provide quality content for the live stream. Alright, so, some of the stuff that I really like, we did add collectible variety crates this year, or was it last year? And that's a pretty nice one. I like these Indomitable wrappings. I know on Thelanis I'm going to be going for the level 20 version of that. I've been using the level 12 since the last Mimic Hunt. Because it's just all your kind of hit points all in one, plus healing amp, which never hurts either. The Cloak of the Mimic is another one, because it's got Fortification, Death Block, Sticky Goo Guard. I like that one a lot. These go up to level 28 versions. The Necklace of Glib Tongues, provided you use, like, Diplomacy Bluff, and that is a really nice item. And it's got some nice, just kind of oils, prevents durability damage, one adds 1d6 acid, and then also we've got, like, the pets and the certificates and all that sort of thing. But for me, I am going to, I think, let's see how many I actually have this. How many did I get this time? So in 1 hour, we picked up 65 Mimic tokens. Not terrible. Alright. Thank you very much for watching the weekly Wednesday Lunchtime live stream on Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook. A programming note, I'm not sure I'm going to be on next week. I think I will be, but it's possible I won't. I actually have my son with me next week. He's on his spring break. So I'm going to be taking a few days off and hanging out with him and having some fun. So I'm not sure if I'm going to be streaming next Wednesday or not, but I might be. So stay tuned. If I'm not around on next Wednesday at noon, that's what's up with that. I will get you guys a DDO points code in the in-game mail system a little bit later on today. Thank you for grouping with me. Up next is Samus with Follow the Noob, and you can find our full schedule over on the DDO Stream Twitch page. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you again soon.